On Sicily's southeastern shore sits Syracuse, nowadays a grand baroque-styled city, but in ancient times one of the greatest powers and, for the Greeks, the most important city outside Greece itself. The Temple of Apollo, the oldest Doric temple in Western Europe and the first in Sicily, has over centuries served as a Byzantine church, a mosque and a fortress. The Greek city here was founded by the Corinthians, and the surviving theatre is one of the best examples of ancient theatre architecture anywhere. Designed in the 5th century BC by the Greek architect Damokopos, it seated 15,000 people. Great playwrights, including Aeschylus, premiered their tragedies here and staged their works in this magnificent setting. The local tyrant, Dionysius, was a monumental builder. Enormous caves nearby served as rock quarries and prisons. The ear of Dionysius is one of the most impressive. According to legend, thanks to its extraordinary acoustics, the tyrant Dionysius could hear the whispers of his most dangerous prisoners and take precautions. The quarries meant Syracuse had the grandest public works in the Western world. Much here was built by slaves. Syracuse and its succession of bellicose and often cruel dictators was defeated by Athens, which dispatched a massive fleet here in 413 BC, and it declined further after the Roman victories 2 centuries later.
Just outside Rome, the ruins of an immense aqueduct stretch for miles across a vast plain. The aqueduct was used to transport water into the city that lay beyond its huge protective walls, part of which still stand today. The water was vital for the operation of Emperor Caracalla's vast baths complex, the remains of which are still among Rome's most awe-inspiring sights. Dating from 216, the 20-acre site contained baths, shops and gym and gardens, used by several thousand people each day. Below ground, hundreds of slaves sweated in miles of tunnels, attending to intricate plumbing systems. With its ornate fountains, baroque palaces, street life and cafes, the Piazza Navona is Rome's most elegant and colourful square. The outline of the square goes back to Roman times. At its centre is Bernini's famous sculpture, the Fountain of Four Rivers. Created in 1651, it depicts 4 imposing figures, mythical characters representing the 4 great rivers from different corners of the earth. The rivers Nile, Ganges, Plate, and Danube. Dedicated to all the gods, the Pantheon was one of the greatest temples of ancient Rome and is the city's best preserved Roman monument. It was constructed by Marcus Agrippa in 27 BC and rebuilt by Emperor Hadrian between 117 and 125 AD. In 608, it was transformed into a Christian church, and it contains the tombs of Vittorio Emanuele, the first king of Italy, and Raphael. The Forum is the heart of ancient Rome. Among its many historic and ruined public buildings, it contains 3 triumphal arches commemorating great military victories and through which victorious armies would march. The most recent, the Arch of Constantine, was built in 312, a year before Emperor Constantine granted freedom of worship to Christians. The earliest, the Arch of Titus, is the work of Emperor Domitian, celebrating the victories of his brother Titus in Palestine, who conquered Jerusalem and brought treasure and a multitude of slaves to Rome. the Arch of Septimus Severus was constructed in 203 to mark the emperor's victories over the Parthians in what is modern-day Iran. Next to the Forum, you can explore the Palatine Hill, where many emperors kept their palaces. The outlines of these vast and grand complexes can still be seen today. The Colosseum is the biggest and most famous amphitheatre of the Roman world. Construction began in 72 AD under Emperor Vespasian and completed in 80 AD under Emperors Titus and Domitian. It's thought the Colosseum provided seating for 50,000 people. Famous for its gladiatorial contests, it fell into disrepair after 438, when the spectacles were banned and as the city fell into decline.
In the 3rd century BC, the Romans overthrew the Greek cities and states that had existed and ruled the island of Sicily for hundreds of years. The Romans adopted many Greek cultural icons, forms and architectural practices. They rebuilt the famous Greek amphitheatre here at Taormina. They also created elaborate mosaic floors for their villas, palaces and public buildings. For hundreds of years, one of their greatest creations lay buried and undiscovered beneath a giant mudslide in the centre of the island, near the town of Piazza Armerina. Because of the massive scale of the mosaic floors here, the Villa Romana del Casal was thought to have been built by Maximian, a co-emperor with Diocletian in the 3rd century AD. It's thought the mosaics decorating 40 rooms were the co-creation of Roman artisans and North African craftsmen. The most distinctive murals are found in the Room of the 10 Maidens. 10 scantily clad female gymnasts, known as the Bikini Girls. All the scenes normally excluded from Christian art lie in this kaleidoscope of life, celebrating hunting, fishing, dancing, discus throwing, massage and lovemaking. The corridor of the Great Hunt is a swirling mass of movement featuring chariots, lions, cheetahs and rhinos.
In the grand piazzas and squares of today's Rome, you will often find at their centre an obelisk. One of ancient Egypt's most enduring architectural innovations. Rome was the first of many empires to pillage Egypt of its architectural gems. And many of the obelisks that adorn these public places are booty from Rome's conquests 2,000 years ago. The obelisk at the centre of the Piazza del Popolo was brought back to Egypt by the Emperor Augustus in 10 BC. The stone at the base commemorates the achievement. It's one of Rome's oldest obelisks, dating from the era of Ramses II, around 1500 BC. The obelisk in the centre of St. Peter's Square in the Vatican was brought back to Rome by the Emperor Caligula and was placed here by Nero as a marker for his chariot races. Over the centuries, Rome's ancient obelisks have been moved and repositioned around the city by city planners. The highest obelisk at 32 metres and one of the oldest at 3,500 years can now be found at Piazza San Giovanni in Laterano. One of the most curious is the obelisk at the centre of one of Rome's most popular squares, the Piazza Navona, which sprouts from the centre of Bernini's famous muscular 16th century sculpture, the Fountain of Four Rivers. And fronting one of this ancient city's most famous buildings, the Pantheon, an obelisk surmounting a fountain designed in 1578 by Giacomo del Porto, a pupil of Michelangelo. The obelisk comes from the ruins of the Temple of Isis that once stood on the site but was put here in 1711 on the order of Pope Clement XI, whose insignia now adorns the site.
In 1693, a mighty earthquake flattened many communities in the southeast of Sicily. At the time, Baroque architecture was the fashion in Europe, and over the next few decades, several Sicilian towns were rebuilt in the Baroque image. The result today are 8 World Heritage towns. Among them are Noto, Ragusa, Modica and Scicli, which exist in perfect and grand Baroque style on their original sites or just a few kilometers away. Here, churches and palaces have been created in a wildly theatrical style, characterized by the fantasy and ornamentation of the Baroque movement, which took off in Catholic Italy after the Renaissance in response to the austere architectural styles of the Protestant Reformation. In Noto, the Spanish-Sicilian aristocrat Giuseppe Lanza, the Duke of Camastra, oversaw much of the works and engaged top architects, planners and master craftsmen, such as Rosario Gagliardi, to do the job. Together, they achieved one of the world's most successful post-earthquake city recreations. The Palazzo Castelluccio was built almost 100 years later by the Marquis di Lorenzo del Castelluccio, one of the city's oldest families. Well-prepared frescoes on the ceiling and walls and the original Sicilian ceramic floors remain to this day. Even the horses had elaborately tiled stalls and feeding troughs in their stables.
Because it was buried by ash following the eruption of the nearby Vesuvius volcano in 79 AD, the city of Pompeii offers us the best glimpse of daily life in the ancient Roman world. Lying undisturbed beneath the ash for 1,500 years, Pompeii was only rediscovered in the 16th century. Excavations only commenced in 1748. And they've been ongoing ever since. Pompeii was a city of about 15,000 people, about 2,000 of which were killed by the eruption and its aftermath. It contained 1,500 buildings. Some are still being unearthed, others restored, and details uncovered. The layout and design of its numerous villas give us a fascinating insight into the quality of life in Pompeii for the well-off, the elegance of their surroundings, and in particular the beauty of the frescoes, paintings and murals that adorn their homes. Securely protected behind the large doorways and gates of their villas, enabled the wealthy to enjoy their privacy, while in the streets outside, fast food sellers plied their trade, but on marble tabletops. Businesses advertised their wares, and the city's brothels more discreetly theirs. And while the crowds headed for the amphitheatre to watch gladiators fight to the death, the well-to-do tended their vines behind high walls until that fateful August day in 79 AD, so dramatically illustrated in the Garden of the Fugitives, when Vesuvius erupted, snatching life away and burying the city with it.
Just a few kilometres from the baroque town of Noto, in the southeastern corner of Sicily, is a wild and windswept coastline, which is now a protected nature reserve. The Vendicari Nature Reserve covers 1,400 hectares and is dotted with deserted beaches, salt pans, lagoons, and Greek ruins dating back 2,500 years. The plentiful bird life here attracts hikers and birdwatchers from across Italy and beyond. For centuries, this part of the Sicilian coast has also been a favoured destination for tuna fishermen. The giant fish is plentiful in the south of the island, and on an isolated headland on the reserve sits the ruins of a giant tuna processing factory dating back to the 16th century. This site was originally used by the Romans to produce garum, a salted fish sauce which was very popular. The site also includes a 15th century tower which was used as a storage facility for the nearby port. This unique and once bloody site sits as an eerie reminder of an industry which once sustained communities along the coast. And while the fishing industry's decline and tourism has increased, tuna remains a seafood staple on the island today.
It's one of the best preserved ancient sites in the world. The Greek city of Paestum dates from about 600 BC and sits on a coastal plain about an hour's drive south of Naples. Paestum lay lost and neglected for almost a millennia until it was rediscovered by travellers in the 17th century. 100 years later, it became a feature of the so-called Grand Tour, a journey of the Mediterranean's epic cultural sites by educated and usually wealthy travellers fascinated by the wonders of the ancient world. Surrounded by 5 miles of crumbling walls, the centrepiece of the site are the ruins of these 3 majestic temples. Their huge columns are a showpiece of Doric architecture that so influenced the world. The most imposing is the Temple of Neptune, built in the mid-5th century, but some scholars believe it was dedicated to Apollo. Next to it is the Basilica, built around the same time, thought to be dedicated to Hera, wife of Zeus. A third temple, the Temple of Ceres, dedicated to the goddess of harvests and agriculture, is separated from the other 2, but equally imposing. Some scholars still refer to it as the Temple of Athena. After it was discovered, this part of the site was dedicated to the goddess. Between the temples, it's possible to explore the layout of the ancient city, its streets, houses, and public buildings. And at the on-site museum, a collection of objects from its famous tombs, including the beautiful mural paintings from the so-called Tomb of the Diver, dating from 470 BC and recovered from the site just over 50 years ago. Paestum is only an hour's drive from the often overcrowded Roman site at Pompeii, which can become overrun by tourists. But here, there are no crowds. And at night, when the ruins are lit up, the site remains open, so travellers can wander among the ruins, a unique and enchanting experience for those fascinated by the wonders of the ancient world.